Hello. There are a lot of podcasts talking about why Game of Thrones is great. I feel we need one that talks about why it sucks. And we're going to have to do this on an episode by episode basis. We're going to start with Season 7, Episode 1, Dragonstone, which was a fairly boring episode that opened with Arya Stark in a move that surprised no one since the big reveal of it being Arya Stark was ruined at the end of the last season. Made the whole thing just kind of slow, and whereas I think we all enjoy watching a once innocent young girl turn into a mass murdering sociopath, it really seemed like something that should have been done last season instead of this season. And then we moved right into the 27-minute opening sequence. I fell asleep, took a half an hour nap, woke up, still the opening credits. They really need to shorten this up. And from there it moved to the White Walkers ambling slowly toward the screen. And that's all they did this episode. Just a nice, slow walk through the woods. Which led directly to Brandon Stark, because Bran is a terrible name. Brandon is an actual human name. Being his boring self. Showed up at the wall. The commander came out. They told him who he was. He asked how he knew that. And instead of, being like, hey, go get my brother that he thinks is here, he's just like, ooh, magic words. And the commander's like, good enough. Come on in. So I really question his command ability. Then it cut to Jon Snow and Sansa Stark, and a lot of political bickering in public. Sansa apparently does not believe Jon Snow can do anything correct. And considering his track record, she is probably right. I'm sure eventually these people will turn on him and murder him too. At least I'm hoping. Then they went to Cersei and Jaime, who are also doing nothing, just talking about how they're surrounded by enemies, a thing we also knew from last season. So far we have not really moved the plot forward at all. Then they went to Samwell Tarly, who had a nice musical montage of him cleaning up poop and retching. It was terrible. But I had a friend tell me that the reason to watch Game of Thrones is for the blood and boobs, and this episode replaced it with poop and dead old man penis. So, it was close. It was very close. I think that was good. And then the worst thing to happen in this episode, Ed Sheeran really sucks you right out of the fantasy elements. Him sitting there singing like a douchebag, and Arya just going to hang out with him and not advancing the plot at all. That's a common theme for this episode. We're not advancing the plot. It's a shortened season, so let's do nothing. Fantastic. Then there was the scene with the Hound, Clegane, and whereas I like his one-liners and him calling people a cunt all the time, they still didn't advance the plot. They just went, saw people he had robbed and apparently caused negligent homicide to. And, he feels bad that he caused people to die, so I guess he's sympathetic now and we should all like him, even though he's clearly a horrible human being. And then the end, which everyone apparently loved. Winter has come, except to anywhere south of the ice wall, where it was always winter. So we had a nice walk on the beach, followed by a slow, silent tour of a filthy abandoned castle, which led up to Daenerys saying, "Shall we begin?" Yes! We should have began a half an hour ago. Do something! And then there was the best scene of any Game of Thrones episode. The closing credits. Finally, the pain is over, and we can go about our day and do something interesting. Anyway, that was Game of Thrones in about 6 minutes, and I'll try and do another one of these for the next episode.